I would first like to introduce our state commander, Tom Bubb. Tom, would you come up, please?
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome, guests, fellow veterans, families, and all the other people. Memorial Day. I'm going to start off with a brief little story about Memorial Day. Back in 1970, I was recuperating on my granddad's ranch in Waco, Texas. And a couple rode up, young girl and middle-aged fella. And, you know, rang the doorbell from cowbell. They wanted, she turned around and said, well, we want all you heroes to march in our Memorial Day parade. And I looked at her and, you know, I just gave her a look. And I said, heroes? We're not heroes. And she said, oh yeah, we heard about you, this and that. I said, the only heroes in all wars are the people that never came back. They're the real heroes. They gave their all. Everything that they had, women and men. So, needless to say, I didn't watch any parade.
He's over there.
But
Near the mic.
this Memorial Day, take a few seconds just to say, you know, a few words and say thanks for all those men and women who didn't make it back. And I think they'd be very happy about that. That's all I gotta say. God bless us all.
Next, I would like to introduce our Auxiliary State President,
Policeman.
Sue Rano.
Hi, I just want to thank everybody for coming to the convention this year. I really shouldn't be standing here. It should be the past department president, Judy Pascura. She cannot make it because she's really ill, and I would like to take a few minutes if everybody would just take a few minutes and pray for her health, please. Thank you. I'm not going to give a speech because I really wasn't prepared, but I would like to have Mike come up.
Thank you.
As I said earlier today, we are the VAVS representatives for the state of Connecticut. And one of the things we do is organize the bingos for the West Haven VA. And without the participation of volunteers to come and do the bingo with us, we wouldn't have such a good program. So, you want to explain what we're going to do? Since you say you never talk.
That's all. We're ready. Like my wife has said, we like to recognize the people that take the effort to get down there on our socials. We have some certificates we'd like to pass out. Well, let's say it'd be kind of hard to come up here and receive them, so as we announce them, we'll try to walk down to where you are. We'll pass them over to you because I think it'd be mass confusion, everybody trying to get up and walk around. First one, we have Elizabeth Kennedy.
They stand up.
Yeah, I was going to recognize in Rosemary Kennedy. And, outstanding service, in honor of your outstanding performance and dedication, serving our veterans at the West Haven VA, we gladly present with the certificate of recognition for your bingo service, June 2015 to May 2016. Command with the President's note, one of the members aren't here, which will take it back to you, to your post and present it at your next meeting. How do you pronounce the last name, Sean? Sharon Lowenia and Patricia Lowenia.
I'll take them. I'll take them.
And Helen Pulaski. Don't go far, Michael. And Michael gets his pictures. We have Fred James and Gail James. Tom Wojtek. Peter Bezuzak. I'll take care of that. Janet Sparks. And James Sparks. Al Newdick. Hold on, Mike. Al Newdick. Walter Stashis. Nancy Bertrand and Scott Bertrand. Charlie Pusabello. Julius Demo. Neil Ayala. Carson Centeno. Carlo Tinto. Paul Miller. Paul Miller and Margaret Miller. George Mitchell. Marianne Pack. Stephen Pack.
I'm not married yet. You sure? I raised my hand, I'm married yet.
Dick Girotado. Thomas Owen. Margaret Maddie. And Richard Knoll.
No, I'm one. You're one. So they called your name.
This time I have the honor of introducing our guest speaker, Reverend Dr. Cosmos Archibald. Catholic priest from the Catholic Diocese of Ecot, Nigeria, ordained October 8, 1988. He is the second of 12 siblings, but the first of 9 boys. Reverend Archibald did all of his seminary training, philosophy, theology in Nigeria seminaries, and after ordination served in parish ministry for 5 years before he left Nigeria to Belgium. He attended the Catholic University of Louvain for his master's in theology and applied ethics. He came to the United States in September of 1999 for clinical pastoral education to train as a hospital chaplain. After graduating as a chaplain in August of 2000, he served for 3 years in a Catholic hospital in Muskegon, Missouri?
Illinois.
Michigan. I was close. From 2000 to 2003. And in Austin, Texas from 2003 to 2009. And now serving the veterans of Connecticut from 2009 through today. Presently, he is with the Archdiocese for the military services, but located within the Archdiocese of Hartford, Connecticut. Reverend Archibald went back to school to complete his PhD in pastoral psychology from the Graduate Theological Foundation in Indiana from 2010 to 2014. A major focus of this study was to see how we can help be of help to veterans with PTSD who have suffered different kinds of moral injuries, and to work with them to go beyond the concept of victimhood to victory. He is a board-certified chaplain with the National Conference of the VA Catholic Chaplains. Allow me to introduce Father Cosmos Archibald.
Very grateful to all of you for inviting me to be here today, not only to share the food, the drinks, and to see all of you, but to say a few words. I hope it's going to be a few words about our veterans and how each and every one of you have been of service to this country, and you continue to be of service to our veterans, family members, and all of us. As introduced, my name is Father Cosmos Archibald. I usually tell people my name comes from the word cosmos, but it is cosmos. So cosmos meaning universe. At the end of it all, we know that universe is a very difficult place. The universe is a very complicated place. But the universe is also a very interesting place because we have to be here. And that's why when Jesus was praying for the disciples, he said, God, I'm not asking you to take them out of this world because this is where they belong. But I'm only praying that you support them, be with them, and give them the wisdom they need to manage this world and live in this world upon all the conflicts we have. So at the end of it all, you will receive the glory. And so when I was asked to speak to you today, I was thinking about what to tell you about chaplain services in the VA, what the chaplains do, especially when you are not a military chaplain and you are a civilian chaplain who is taking care of the military and the services they have rendered, coming back home broken. And so I thought about sharing with you what it means for you to be Catholic war vets and the challenges of war and our Catholic faith. The challenges of war and our Catholic faith. And so, first of all, being a Catholic war vet, what does that mean for you and for us? It is a calling from God. I know that we all have vocations, but to be called to be a vet, to be called to go and give your life to serve your country, give your life to receive the bullet on behalf of all of us. It's a calling that is very interesting, but nobody tells you the whole story before you leave. Of course, you remember that by the time you are called out, you are just barely making your 18 years of age. And so what are they seeing at this point in time? Just the uniform. You see that your father is back home with the military uniform, your mother is back home with the military uniform, your brothers and sisters are dressed up, and they look beautiful, they look handsome. And so, I have to dress up like that. But nobody has told you what the war is about. Nobody has given you the insight of the whole thing. So first of all, it's a calling to serve God as a Christian, as a Catholic, in the midst of all the conflict that you are going to experience. It is also a calling to serve our country. Somebody has to take the bullets for all of us. And so, when we see the flag flying, we know that it is because of the blood, the sacrifices of so many men and women. Some have come back home, and some have lost in the midst of it all. Some come back home in the casket. And so the children who are just thinking about this are not seeing those, but what they are seeing is the very fact that at least I want to be a hero. I want to serve my country. So that's a calling. Calling to serve God, calling to serve the country. But the consequences of war stays with those individuals and the family members. Because by the time you go in and they tell you what war is about, they tell you what you are coming into, you are already committing yourself to the fact that if you don't pass, you are going to be kind of a dropout. And so you make all the effort to pass, to do the exercise, do whatever you need to do just to pass. When you are passing, at that point in time, they tell you, you swear an oath that you are going to serve your country for better and for worse. For better, meaning that you can come back with one hand, you can come back with one leg, you can come back with PTSD, you can come back with all the assaults you can think about. And so, that's for better. But for worse, you can come back home with a casket. You can come back home just with the flag given to your parents and say, well, it's a fallen hero. A hero. But nobody thinks about that. The untold stories of war are not told to anybody. And so, that is what each and every one of you or our veterans are going through, the untold stories that they are handling by themselves. Because by the time you come back from war and you do what you are doing there, they tell you, listen, here you do what I tell you. You have no more father, you have no more mother. What you have is your commander and your country. And that is it. The bullet is your brother and your sister. And the gun is your next companion. And therefore every soldier, every veteran knows that what I have here is me and my gun. I have to protect myself, I have to protect my country, I have to make sure that anybody in front of me or anything in front of me is an enemy. And so, when you do all that, of course, remember, it comes to a point where you cannot but come to a point of just floating and doing what you are doing without thinking about it. You don't think about it, you do what you are told to do, you come back home and they say, hey, buddy, sit down and drink with us. Of course, at that point in time, you're not telling anybody what happened, but everybody knows what has happened. You sit down and drink. If you don't drink, they think that you're an enemy. But when you become a drunkard, when you become addicted, you are on your own. And so those are the traumas that we experience, that the veterans experience as they go into an unknown area. And then the untold stories of the war stays with you alone because you don't want to tell anybody what you did. Of course, you know that if you tell your wife, it's not going to believe you. If you tell your mother or your father, they're not going to believe you because they have not been there. You come back home, you carry the load by yourself. You can't share it with anybody. And those loads are eating you up. The very fact that you did what the Bible said you should not do, the church told you not to do. Thou shalt not kill. You're not going to forget that if you knew it before you left. But the very fact that the government tells you at this point in time, your mission is to do what? To kill. And then you go, you kill one, you kill two, you kill three, and then after a while, you can't even count again how many you have killed. You come back home, all those memories surface. You want to sleep, you sleep with one eye open because you still have to be alert in case anything happens. Then you go through all that. After a while, you become so traumatized that you can't even know yourself again. You can't even recognize yourself again. And so we talk about the fallen heroes. We talk about the POWs. We talk about even those who have come back with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. We talk about those who come back with the brain injury, TBI, the traumatic brain injury. We talk about those who have been sexually assaulted, men and women, and they can't even recognize themselves again. These are done by fellow soldiers and fellow military people, assaulting fellow human beings like that. And they come back home and they can't feel comfortable with themselves, but they can't run away. They have to be there and serve to the end. But yet, they cannot really see themselves having gone through all that as a human being that they can accept themselves or tell others what happened to them. And so PTSD, TBI, military sexual assault or trauma happen to be major issues among our veterans. And so when you see all that and do all that and experience all that as a Catholic, you come back home, what do you ask yourself? How do you see yourself? How do you even see God or the church? Or even the experience of your faith? Because the question you'll be asking even there in the military zone is, where is God? Why are we doing all this? Why are this happening to us? Why are we told to go and kill and kill and kill and kill, even young children and women and men? So those questions are there. Some come back home strengthened by their faith because they know, I am back home because God saved me. And so that becomes a point of strengthening their faith. And some come back home with the experience of the loss of their faith. They say, well, you know what? I left it there because God was not there when I needed him. And so they have lost that faith. They cannot come back home and go to church and sit down and listen to somebody preaching and say, God is a loving God. God is our Father. God is all present. God is this and that. They say, well, God may be present to you, but not to me. I didn't see him. He wasn't there for me. And so it becomes a traumatic experience of not knowing again whether to go forward or to go backward in our own faith. But you realize as a Catholic, you are still called to be a Catholic. You are still called to serve God. And so, but at this point in time, you are so confused, you can't even know again whether God is alive or not. Having gone through what you've gone through, having seen all that has happened. And so, coming back home, when the soldier or any of the service people come back home, how do we transition them from the war zone to a civilian kind of life? That takes something, because you've been there for so long. You've been out in the wood for so long. You have been away from your wife or your husband for so long. You have no friend, because even your fellow soldier, you have to watch out very well. You have to be very careful, because you know you have seen a lot of things happening, even among friends, betraying each other. And therefore, even among friends, you still sit down together and drink a bottle of beer or a glass of wine, but you're still watching out what move is going to make next, what is going to happen next. You are very traumatized in such a way that you suspect everybody. You suspect even yourself. And therefore, many of the soldiers or many of the veterans come back home, they can't get along with the wives again and the family members because they are still living in the wood. They are back home, but they are still living in the wood. And so there has to be a way of processing them so that they can come back from the war zone back home. And of course, it has to be a way of letting the family members know what PTSD is about, what the post-traumatic stress disorder is all about, what they have gone through, so that they can know how to reach out to them. You can't really, in fact, if you make a mistake, maybe they are sleeping, and you just say, oh honey, how are you? You're going to be in trouble. And secondly, maybe you are sleeping together and you turn around and hit him in the night, you're going to be choked. And of course, if the bullet is not there, he's going to look for a knife or for anything at all to protect himself. And then if a woman experiences that 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, you're going to say, honey, I love you, but I'm going. Because he cannot take it any longer. He doesn't even know when it will happen that he will choke her and kill her. There is an experience of a disconnect when a military person comes back home, when a veteran comes back home. That veteran is so disconnected from God, disconnected from family, disconnected from friends. And so you're going to be talking to him as somebody you knew when he left. No, he's not talking to you again as somebody that knew you some few years ago. He's going to be talking to you and greeting you, but yet, it's not really reaching out to you heart to heart. It's just saying hello because at least he sees you. But what is going on in the brain, what is going on in the body, in the mind of the person, you are not sure. And so the experience of disconnect is not only about friends and family members, but it also goes even to God. Because now, you cannot even go to church and be comfortable in the midst of people sitting together. You cannot even sit down in a closed door, a closed place like that and be comfortable. So after a while, you see them withdrawing from the family. You see them withdrawing from the crowd. You see them withdrawing from where more than 2 people are sitting together. Because that is the way he was brought up in the wood, and he cannot but immediately feel traumatized again in the midst of a number of people. So the God issue is so eminent that when you go in as a chaplain to visit them, they are really just freaking out. Many of them freaking out because you are coming here to make a judgment on me. But first of all, they still remember what the church has thought about everything they have gone through. And so seeing you as a chaplain coming in, the immediate reaction is, oh, okay, so what am I doing? What is he going to tell me now? Is he going to come to condemn me or to, all those kind of stuff? So you as a chaplain, you are really working with the kind of a sense of carefulness, or reaching out to them with a sense of carefulness, what to say and how to say it. Of course, if they tell you to get out of here, then you have to just leave on time before it becomes a drama. And so, because of all those disconnects, you still feel the need of family. You still feel the need of your brothers and sisters. You still feel the need of others reaching to you. But because of the experience they have had, everybody withdraws. And you also see yourself withdrawing. So that disconnection from family, from God, from friends, brings about a new relationship. They have to develop a new relationship. And that new relationship has to do with alcohol and drugs and gambling and sex. So eventually, if you have no other relationship than a bottle, the bottle is going to support you for a few days, for a few months. But after a while, that bottle is going to beat you up. Because if you have no other thing to do, you have nobody you can talk to, you have nobody you can confide in, the only person you can confide in is your bottle. And you remember that when you drink and drink so much, it's going to damage your inside. It's going to damage your brain. It's going to damage some organs of your body. It's going to damage something about you. And so the more you do that, the more you become damaged. You know it. But yet, you cannot say no to the bottle. Because that becomes your new family member. That becomes your new friend. That becomes the new person you can trust. And so, between alcohol and drugs, between gambling and sex, the consequences will mean that you're going to become homeless because you're going to spend all your money on drugs. You're going to spend all your money on alcohol. And then maybe if you had a wife or children, they're no more caring about those people as it should be. And so when you lose all your money, the little money you get from the VA or from the government to take care of yourself, it may not be enough to pay your rent. It may not be enough to buy all your drugs. It may not be enough to do what you need to do. And consequently, you are experiencing not only physical pain, but emotional and mental pain that drugs may not solve immediately. Then you go to the VA, you ask them that you are in pain, you ask them for pain medications, and they tell you that you are addicted. And then you see the veteran becoming enraged because how can I serve my country and do all that? I'm in pain. And I'm asking for pain medication and you are branding me as an addict. And so it becomes a problem. And the same thing with the alcohol. If you are addicted to it, you have to drink. And if you don't drink, you realize that you can't even sleep, you can't even do anything. And consequently, whatever money you have is going to be gone. And if you don't have money to buy the drink and you can't do without it, then what happens? You're going to beat somebody up. You're going to enter into somebody's house. You're going to steal. You're going to do all that. And what is that going to end you? In prison. Once you get there, your name is already entering a record that you are ex-convict. And nobody is going to hire you. Even though you are a veteran, nobody is going to give you a job because they are not sure what you can do at any point in time. And so you see many of our veterans getting into violence, getting estranged from family members, getting homeless, getting imprisoned and abusive. Becoming abusive to family members and friends, becoming abusive to people around them. And so what can we do to bring them back? If they come back from the service, what can we do to help them, to reach out to them and help them to return back home? So we think about the question of rehabilitation. And so the story of the prodigal son comes to my mind when I think about the rehabilitation. Because a lot of our veterans think, well, I am already condemned. For what I did, I don't think God can forgive me. I don't think I should even make any attempt going to church. I don't think I should even make any attempt approaching a priest or a chaplain. That is not true. Because when you think about the story of the prodigal son, he collected all that the father gave him, all he wanted from the father, and was gone. He did everything that you can imagine under the heaven. And then, at some point in time, he could not but run into a situation where he was not able to take care of himself. He was not able to feed himself. He was not able to buy the drugs and buy the drinks. So that is the situation of most of the veterans when they are gone like that and cannot take care of themselves. They get stranded. They get so enraged, so unhappy and so angry with themselves and with everybody. But if the prodigal son did not say at this point in time, want it or not, I am going back home. It takes courage for somebody to say that. Somebody who has experienced what most of the veterans have experienced to say, I am going back home. Home is home. And so the prodigal son came back home thinking that, well, the father is not going to accept him. He's not just going to say, oh, now you are back. The brother was not going to accept him, which the brother did not. But the father immediately, seeing him, embraced him, dressed him up, gave him accommodation and food. In fact, he did not even believe what he saw the father did. And so it takes the power of the mind to tell ourselves as veterans, I want to go back home. I want to let go of drinking. I want to let go of drugs. I want to let go of anger. I want to let go of blaming anybody. I want to let go of anything that is going to make me not close to my family. It takes courage for us to come to that term and say, I know I did something which I would not have done normally. But I did it because I was in a situation which was the only option I had. Then, at this point in time, I know that I was serving God by serving my country to return back home, by returning back to the church, by returning back to your priest, by returning back to your parish and joining the Catholic War veterans. Provided what it means for you is that coming together as Catholic War veterans, that you want to support yourself, you want to do something good, you want to let go of all those icky attitudes so that you can serve God and still serve your country. And so the power of the mind is the need to return, the need of reconciliation. Reconciliation not only about the confessions. Confession is one thing. For those who go for confession and try to do that, is an important aspect of the reconciliation or the rehabilitation. But assuming that the person is not a Catholic, or the person is not very church-going, you can still reconcile. You can still bring yourself to a point of recognizing the fact that you did something good by signing up to go and serve your country. There was nothing wrong about that. And what happened there in the field is not your fault. Because at this point in time, either you shoot and protect your country, and by shooting, you mean that it's going to either destroy human being or destroy property or something. If you don't do that, then the other one is going to shoot you and kill you. And so you do what you can do at least to protect your country. At the same time, when you come back home and feel all the emotions of what happened there, you should recognize the fact that it wasn't your fault. It's a different thing when you come back home and one day you just get up in the morning or in the night and carry your knife or carry your bullet and go and shoot your brother or your friend. That's a different thing altogether. But what happens in the field is because of the situation at hand. And therefore, the need to return back home is also including that reconciliation with yourself and with others around you. The reconciliation to continue to be a Catholic that you used to be. The reconciliation to still go to church and listen to the word of God, even though sometimes it may conflict with what you may think or may have in your mind. And so as Catholic War vets, what is helping us and what is not? It's impossible that at least we have pastors who can talk to us. When you feel a little bit of distraction, you can go to your pastor and have the grace to talk to them and be open to them. Or maybe those of us who are working in the hospital with the veterans stop by and talk to us and let us walk through this together. By walking through it together, you see the other version of the story. Because the story is, you tell yourself all the stories. You carry all the burden. And you're not able to share it with anybody around you. But probably by sharing it with the chaplains or with somebody else, then you can listen to a different version of the story that can help you to download, to let go, so that you can become more a human being again than just struggling and struggling and struggling with yourself, and eventually you're not able to help yourself. So what may not be helpful is putting yourself in a situation that reminds you, that puts the whole episode again on your face. And that's why most of the veterans, they avoid situations like that that will re-traumatize them. If you can avoid those situations, avoid them. But other than that, at least talk about it, share it with somebody that you trust that can help you. And so what do chaplains do? Especially maybe the chaplains in the field, they are there with you, they talk to you there, and then they see what is happening there, they go with you. But in the VA here, we realize that we have chaplains who are not in the military. And so what is their job? What is their duty? Their duty is to rebuild the bridge. To rebuild the bridge. To introduce to you a sense of a Father of mercy. Especially this year, Pope Francis says we should think about mercy, the year of mercy. So mercy begins with me. Mercy begins with yourself. Mercy begins with the very person who is struggling with something. If you cannot be merciful to yourself, if you cannot forgive yourself, if you cannot let go of whatever happened in the field, and just say, enough is enough. Then it is difficult to be merciful to your wife, to your husband, to your brother and your sister. It is difficult to be merciful to the other person. First, yourself. Our Father says, forgive us as we forgive ourselves. If you cannot forgive yourself, my dear friends in Christ, it's difficult to forgive others. There are so many things you may be thinking, oh no, I can't forgive myself having done all this. No, you can forgive everything. Because if God can forgive us our sins, then you cannot put a limit on God on what God can forgive. The only thing that you have to take the initiative of asking God, please, I have done something which I know was wrong, I need forgiveness. Remember, Peter was offending Christ. Judas was also offending Christ. The two of them committed sin. The difference was that Judas said, no, God cannot forgive this kind of sin. The best thing is for me to go and kill myself. And then he did. But Peter said, no, I have to go back and say I am sorry for what I did. Peter went back and apologized for what he did, and then asked for forgiveness, and Jesus forgave him. And even gave him the key of the kingdom. And so, if you put a limit on God, on what God can forgive and what he cannot forgive, then you are even committing more sin by doing that. So let us be open to God, let us be open to the chaplain, let us be open to one another. And so the chaplain at the VA or in most of the places is like a bridge builder, trying to bring you back from that place where you are emotionally and spiritually, bring you back to God or to the church. The chaplain is also giving the veterans listening presence. Every veteran that comes to the chaplain wants to be listened to. It's not enough for you to go there with your own agenda because you were not there in the fields with them. They have the agenda. They know what happened to them. They know where it is pending them. They are the ones to tell you the story. And so, as a chaplain, you listen. You learn to listen to them. Let them tell the story. And the more they tell the story, open up to the story, the more it becomes easy for them to carry it, sharing it with somebody who listens and who is not judging them. So non-judgmental presence, you are not just there fidgeting with yourself, kind of trying to ask this question, ask that question, or think of what judgment to make on this or that statement the person is making. No, you do it in such a way that you are able to be present to them, and listen to them, and even if you feel something different, you don't show that attitude of saying, oh, well, you did that. So there is also the presence of mercy and forgiveness. As I said, you are there as a merciful presence of God. You are there as a forgiving figure of God. Because at that point in time, it's just like being at the confessional. You are not there for yourself. You are there representing Christ, representing God. So you listen to the confession, you listen to the story, and then you pray with the person and leave the rest in God's hands. And so the presence of the Catholic War veterans. So you coming here, having the convention, the 70th convention. So what does that mean for you? How do you feel about your presence? How do you feel about what you do? And how does that affect both the veterans who are coming back from war and the family members? Relationship with the veterans. For instance, you have veterans at home here. You go there and see them. I'm glad that at least one of you was mentioning about going there and helping them to play bingo and doing all that. Because I have not really had time to see every group that comes there. So I didn't know that you guys have been coming there and doing the bingo. But I know about the Knights of Columbus. Because they tell me when they are coming, and I get to see them when they are coming, so I get to know that they are there. But now that I know that you also come, and then I know that at least you are making some impact in their lives too, because they like that. And so that is a relationship that you have established, and then helping to empower the vet. Anytime you see them, anytime you see yourselves, those who are back already and those who have just come back, at least stopping to tell them thank you for your services is very empowering. And of course, even if you cannot do anything more than that, pray for them. I know that you have been helping in the past, as you have mentioned. Knights of Columbus have been present and helping in the past. What can we continue to do now to continue to help them? I know that there are deacons among you. I know that there are Eucharistic ministers among you. I know that some of you, as you have said, you help in one thing or the other. So I will encourage you to continue to do that as a deacon. If you have a chance and you can help, you can always come back and help us, because we need deacons. Now, very soon, by next Monday, I'll be flying out to Nigeria. And I will be out for a month and maybe 5 weeks. I need somebody to cover me when I'm gone like that, at least celebrate Eucharistic service for the people there. And then if I find somebody like that, I'll be very grateful. If you can be a Eucharistic minister, you come through. Take one day a week and come and they bring communion to the village. They get connected to you very easily than me. In fact, the only way I was able to connect with some of the veterans was that I was grown up when we had the Civil War in Nigeria. And I have an idea of what war is about when civil war is in your very nose. You see your brothers and sisters, you see people being slaughtered like animals. Then people like that who are difficult, when I tell them the story of my experience with the war back home in Nigeria, they kind of relax a little bit, because now you have a connection. You have something that you are sharing together. So if each and every one of you maybe find time to come by visit with them, or do Eucharistic ministry, or do any communion service as a deacon, I'm sure they will really appreciate it. I want to use this opportunity to thank all of you, especially Tom Cabianelli, who introduced me to this service. I mean, he came to the VA and stopped by to see me. We sat down and talked. And then after a while, he said, well, we're going to have this convention. If I would have a chance to talk to the veterans or to this group. I said, well, it is my pleasure to be here and talk to you. I don't know what I'm talking, if it relates to what you are doing or whether it does anything at all to you, but the important thing is that at least as a veteran, maybe you are going through one thing or the other. As family members, maybe you are experiencing one thing or the other. Maybe as friends, you see yourself that you could be of help to our veterans. If you don't know what they are going through and what they are still going through, you won't be able to really appreciate them. I know that in most parishes around here, they don't even talk about veterans. They don't talk about whether there's anything happening to veterans or not, whether they are there in the church or not. How can they be appreciated if they don't know that at least they are appreciated? I mean, the pastors have to do something about it. Each and every one of you have to do something about it. Me too, I have to do something about it. So I thank all of you for giving me this chance. I thank all of you for giving me the food. I thank all of you for sharing this experience with me. So if there's any other thing that I needed to say and I have not said it, maybe next time we can discuss that.
Thank you so very much for sharing and being with us today, Father. We do have some. This is very beautiful. This is really very beautiful. And it's inscribed, presented to Father Cosmos P. Archibald from the Department of Connecticut, Catholic Bar Veterans of USA. Thank you so much, Father. As I have done. As I have encourage any of you to do, please go down and visit with Father down at the War Vets Hospital, and it's just a wonderful spirit. Thank you very much. At this time, I would like to introduce our own commander, Tom Wojtek, to come up and say a few words to us and to introduce our honorary guest.
Okay, before I get started, wasn't that meal delicious? I know Jeff and his crew have been working for the last 3 days here, putting it together, and they did a wonderful job, so thank you very much. Anybody that was involved for the last couple of days, I just want to thank them, because this was not an easy task to pull together. We had to coordinate stuff with the church, we had to coordinate stuff here, we had to coordinate stuff, getting people to come here because there's so many different functions and activities going on this week. There's weddings, there's a motorcycle run today that half our group is with. There was many veteran functions over the weekends. So anybody that helped out this weekend, I am very grateful for your time. All right, so thank you. Three years ago, the Catholic War veterans on the state level decided to recognize each year an individual or group as a Catholic War Veterans Patriotic Citizen of the Year. The guidelines for being nominated is that one must not be a member of the Catholic War Veterans Organization at the time of being nominated, and you must demonstrate through your actions of love of country while helping our veterans and their families. The first year was a retired teacher from Seymour, Ann Donato, who raises money and sends care packages to our troops overseas in remote locations. She is one of only a few allowed by the U.S. military to do this for those special forces. Last year was another teacher from Hamden, Kathy Granfield. She is better known to us as Captain Kathy, whose foundation, the Veteran Angler Charters, provides relaxing therapeutic fishing on her boat for our returning wounded, disabled veterans and their families. This year's award again goes to another teacher, Tom Ackrey, who grew up in Milford and attended the University of Rhode Island for his undergraduate studies, and then on to George Mason for his graduate work. While at George Mason, he did an internship with the NCOA, Non-Commissioned Officers Association, in Alexandria, Virginia. It was here that he developed his deep respect for the military, our veterans, and their families. Tom has been a teacher at the West Shore Middle School in Milford for the past 18 years, where he teaches social studies to the 8th grade class. In the year 2000, Tom, along with his class, began holding fundraiser dinners to instill social values for his students and to give support and helping hand to his local community. There were a few years when it was stopped, but for the past 13 years, Tom and his 8th grade class has been having a pasta dinner to raise funds for various veteran organizations. This past Wednesday evening, many of our own members for Post 1562 enjoyed a delicious meal and presentation put on by his students. This event was to raise funds for Captain Kathy and VA charters. Tom is married to his lovely wife, Michelle, a Valley girl from Ansonia. And together they have two beautiful children, Thomas, age 13, and Emma, age 10. Tom will be accepting this award not only for himself, but for all of his 8th grade classes, both past and present. It is because of teachers like Tom that we have confidence that our country will always be the guiding light in the world, for the example he sets, the values he instills in others, and for his love of our great nation in giving of himself and helping others, especially our veterans. It is indeed a great honor for me to call to the podium at this time Tom Ackrey, this year's Catholic War Veterans Patriotic Citizen of the Year. If you look over here to the right, these are some of the cards and things that his students gave us when we were down there last week. And we thought it was very appropriate that we would put this display and keep it here at our post. So we want to thank you and your class for that. Great. And before I let Tom speak though, I got a couple awards to give him. And it really touches my heart to be doing this, because I've been going down to see what he does there for the last, 3 or 4 years. And I talk it up more and more every year, and hopefully we get more and more people to go down, because what his class does is remarkable. And it's so remarkable that the word is getting out, and other teachers in other schools want to copy what they've done down there. And that's a great, great honor. Before I give Tom his award though, we have a card here. It's for the students at the West Shore Middle School, 8th grade. It's signed by everybody at our post, or most of the people at our post, and there's $150 in there for the class to use however they feel, for their class trip, for pizza party, ice cream party, or whatever they want. So if you would please bring that back with you when you go. Appreciate that. Okay, this first one, it says Catholic War Veterans Special Citation, Department of Connecticut Patriotic Citizen Award, Mr. Tom Ackery. In recognition of steadfast dedication and love of teaching the West Shore Middle School 8th grade, the history of our country, and the sacrifices made by our U.S. military personnel, instilling in these students a sense of patriotism, respect, and self-confidence, as exemplified by their annual fundraising dinner for a nonprofit veteran service organization, we congratulate you. It's signed by the State Department, Commander Tom Budd. This next one says Catholic War Veterans USA, Department of Connecticut, Patriotic Citizen Award presented to Mr. Tom C. Ackery and his 8th grade class, or 8th grade students, May 22nd, 2016. Okay. I have a folder here that I'll have Tom bring down. It's a letter of appreciation for your patriotism, respect, and self-confidence to learn and understand the history of the United States, the sacrifices made by our veterans as exemplified by the 8th grade West Shore Middle School fundraising dinner for nonprofit veteran service organization on May 18, 2016. Congratulations. And it's a bunch of certificates for every student of the names that we had. If we missed someone, please let us know, and we will get them down to you. But I appreciate if you took this with you also.
Are you ready?
Yes. We have a bouquet of flowers for his lovely wife. And on a personal note, I have an auto sun visor of Archangel Michael for Tom in his travels. That's all yours, Tom.
If my students were here, they would not believe I'm speechless. Even my own kids are like, okay, wait a minute. I don't know what to say other than just to start off by saying thank you. It's an honor for me, and I can't thank you, Tom, Dennis, like everybody that's come and supported our event. And I've always called it our event at West Shore Middle School. As Tom mentioned in my bio, I interned at NCOA when I was an intern in college, and for that 3 months it changed my life. I was telling Tom during dinner, my grandfather served in World War II, but I really had no connections in the military. And when I interned in college, they took me everywhere. They took me up to the Pentagon, they took me to a commanding sergeant major's retirement. They were all Vietnam veterans that I worked with, and I could not have a deeper appreciation. And for me, when I was honored, and I am honored still, 18 years later, with the curriculum I have of 8th grade curriculum, and let's just say this dinner, the superintendents have been very supportive, even though it doesn't fit in the curriculum, but I believe it's better than the curriculum, but that's my own bias. You know, they've always been supportive, and it's always been a way for me to say thank you and give back to all of you that have served, and all of you that have given our country and given me what I have. And I'm blessed to have my wife and 2 children and my super AA Auntie Elma here with me here today. And I wouldn't have any of it if it wasn't for all of you. And I'm blessed what I do every day to work with the 8th graders and for them to have an appreciation for what they have. And like I said, it's a West Shore event. It's a beautiful thing. I hope you all come next year. Don't know the organization yet. But we love it. Everybody has their own little niche to get people to come, and I've always said if we raise a penny, we've succeeded in regards to bringing awareness and appreciation to the community and for those who give the ultimate sacrifice. And that's what the dinner is all about, and that's what I believe it's all about, and that's what I believe in regards to teaching, especially what I'm involved with American history, teaching the story of our country and teaching the next generation that unfortunately sometimes, let's just say, I'll be politically correct for a second, sorry, my kids are here, you know, where social studies is on the level of the totem pole is not the highest level. And myself and my colleagues try to put it where it should be, that the learning and sacrifices of our nation need to be taught, need to be remembered. And again, I can't thank you enough for this opportunity. I can't thank you enough for today. And I can't thank you enough for your continued support of our event. And I call it our event, meaning our West Shore event. And thank you for what you do. Thank you for serving our nation and continuing to serve. And I know you mentioned, I was talking to Tom a little bit, but I would love to get my kids involved, my own kids, and I consider them my kids at school, involved in anything you do with the VA. Please let us know. We'd love to get more and more involved, because I don't think, there's a couple of my kids, their parents actually work at the VA this year, and I know they're doing stuff this summer, so it doesn't end with the dinner. To this community support and the support of those who supported us and those who have defended us and those who continue to defend our nation. So again, on behalf of myself, that I barely can speak because I'm so filled with emotion, and like I said, if my 8th graders were here, they would not believe that because all I do is talk. Thank you. And on behalf of everybody at West Shore Middle School, thank you for this award, for this honor. And I cherish it, and I will definitely cherish it and share all this tomorrow in class with them. Thank you so much.